If you have to head back to the office, the nicest thing you can do for your coworkers is not to smell like you spent the last 2 years wearing the same pair of sweatpants. I'm Justin Fenner, Senior Editor at Robb Report, and in this video, I'm going to share 5 fragrances that'll earn compliments from the break room to the boardroom, including the one I cannot stop wearing. Welcome to Uncommon Scents, our video series on everyone's favorite personal luxury, fragrance. I've spent over a decade covering lifestyle, and I've made it a personal mission to only recommend the best of the best, so let's get right into it. First up, Penhaligon Sartorial. You know you're dealing with a professional fragrance when the bottle is wearing a bow tie. This is Penhaligon Sartorial, and it was introduced in 2010. The perfumer wanted to evoke the smell of a workroom at a Savile Row bespoke tailoring workshop. Let's get into how this smells. It's got top notes of cardamom, black pepper, violet, and neroli, middle notes of lavender, leather, and beeswax, and base notes of patchouli, tonka bean, and cedar. What does all that mean? Well, this fragrance was designed to smell like the scent you get when you hold up a steamer or an iron to a wool suit, and that is exactly what they've achieved. So automatically you're getting a ton of professional credibility. Like, if you're gonna take the time to steam the wrinkles out of your clothes before you come into the office, shows you care, shows you actually wanna be there, and you want people to think highly of you when you get there. I have both this fragrance, and in the past I also used the shaving soap that smells like it. I always found that the lavender does a lot of heavy lifting. That helps it feel really fresh and somewhat springy. But eventually the fragrance dries down. It gets to this very powdery, woody place. It hits a cedar note. So if you prefer something that's a little warmer, there's something here for you too. The nice thing about wearing this fragrance in the office is that much like a bespoke suit, it does not announce itself. This always sort of makes me think of the person in your office who's super dependable but not showy about it, gets their stuff done on time, constantly communicates about what they need, and all their work is stellar. But you still might catch them rolling their eyes when the top brass mentions corporate buzzwords like KPIs and synergy and blah. It's an eau de toilette with a moderate silage, so it's not gonna bash anyone over the head as soon as you walk into the room, but whoever sits next to you is definitely gonna lean over and ask what you're wearing. Next up, Zegna Triple Stitch Verdigris. For a long time, Zegna was known as a purveyor of serious power suits. But in recent years, the brand has really been exploring the nuances of masculinity. I think they understand that a life well lived happens as much outside of the office as it does inside of the office. That also is true of its fragrances, and the Eau de Parfum trio it released last fall is a great example of that. My favorite of the 3 is Verdigris. Zegna didn't publish a list of formal notes with this fragrance, which is fine since that's mostly marketing anyway. But they do say that there's cardamom essential oil and an icy winter accord in here. Fragrance opens with that cardamom, you definitely get it, but it's not overtly spicy. In fact, what strikes me most is how unrelentingly fresh it is. It's sort of the way you want to smell when you leave a spa, you know? It's pretty youthful, and I think the guy who's interested in a fragrance like this is probably a little younger, probably a little earlier on in his career. He's heard someone say that work isn't everything, and he lives by that. The one thing you want to watch out for with this fragrance is that even though it's an eau de parfum, it doesn't have the best longevity, and it really only has a moderate silage, so you may find yourself reapplying it before you leave the office and head out into the night. Now, that's convenient because this is a fragrance that will perform just as well at work as it does in the rest of your life. Next up, Acqua di Parma's Colonia Club. Acqua di Parma makes, honestly, some of my favorite fragrances of all time. They are just really good at what they do. This one, Colonia Club, is brand new and just hit shelves in March. It's got top notes of lemon and bergamot, middle notes of rosemary and shiso, and base notes of cedar wood and musk. Now, even though I've only been wearing it for a really short time, it has already made a huge impression on me. There is something about citrus notes that just communicate optimism, and that's really what hits you when you first put it on. It is lemony fresh, like new bottle of Pledge fresh, and that brightness is really enhanced by the herbaceous middle notes. If you think about putting fresh herbs in a salad, that's the effect that the rosemary and the shiso are having on the rest of the ingredients here, just brightening everything up, lifting everything. That quality always makes me think of those coworkers who can just keep the momentum going when your office is slogging through one of those overpower overburdened, overextended, ridiculous projects. Every office has at least one of these people who are just like actively manifesting excellence. At the end of the day, everyone is really happy that they're there. It is an eau de cologne, so it's not gonna bash anyone over the head. It feels very personal and intimate, and that makes sense. Sometimes the best reward is a job well done, and if that strikes a chord with you, you're gonna love wearing this fragrance. Next up, Cartier Declaration Haute Fraîcheur. If you are looking for like outcastian levels of freshness and cleanness, Cartier's Declaration Haute Fraîcheur is the fragrance you want to be wearing. Now, this is technically a woody fragrance, but we're gonna get into why I don't think it's so woody in a second here. It's got a top note of citrus leaves, a middle note of cardamom, and a base note of cedar. What I like about it the most is that it's the kind of thing a lot of people can wear. It's a pretty unisex fragrance, which means there are a wide variety of people who are going to find it appealing. And that is because it is so refreshing and everyone loves feeling refreshed. It is a surprising thing to encounter, and I think a lot of people like being surprised and delighted in the doldrums of working in an office too. People are gonna leave their interactions with you feeling like they have just encountered something new and wholly unexpected. Luckily, it happens to come in a pretty big bottle. Now, before I get into my favorite fragrance to wear to the office right now, I would like to ask a very small favor. If you like what you're hearing so far, give this video a like and let me know what your favorite fragrance to wear to the office is down in the comments below. Finally, MFK's L'Homme à la Rose. I'm biased, but Maison Francis Kurkdjian's L'Homme à la Rose is one of my favorite fragrances of all time to wear at work or honestly anywhere else. It's got top notes of grapefruit and sage, a middle note of May roses, and base notes of amber woods and damask roses. Now, I've got to be honest, I am a rose guy to my core, and that's where my bias about this fragrance comes from. I used to wear Le Labo's Rose 31, then I wore Byredo's Rose of No Man's Land. I am currently working my way through an overused bottle of Aesop Rosu. I love roses. That surprising quality, that tension between, masculine and feminine tends to make up for the best collaborations. So it also makes me think of the kind of people you hope you get assigned to work with at work, the kind of people who are going to be open to ideas, open to partnership, and who tend to play well with others. This fragrance hits that note for me because the rose note is so subtle. At the beginning, it sort of announces itself when you first spray it on. Eventually, it takes a backseat to the woodier and citrusy notes that are in here. It goes to a pretty cedary place when it dries down, which helps it feel masculine. And that's a trick a lot of rose fragrances that are intended for guys tend to use, combining wood with florals. I think a lot of guys could get away with wearing this. I mean, surprise yourself. Open your heart to this like bounteous spring joy. Don't be surprised if it earns you some compliments the next time you have to go into the office for a meeting. You know the kind of person who's gonna enjoy wearing this fragrance? It's the kind of person who is open to collaboration, open to other people's ideas, plays well with others. This is the kind of guy you hope you get assigned to work with on some project you know is gonna take a long time to complete because he is just so generous and gives you ideas that are unexpected but move things forward in a way that's good for both of you. It's an eau de parfum, so I find that it has pretty good longevity, and it's definitely something people will notice if you let them get close enough. So, those are my 5 favorite luxury fragrances to wear to the office right now, although knowing me, my opinion is probably going to change the next time I smell something from any one of these excellent brands. If you like this video, stay tuned for the next one. We'll see you next time with more of the best of the best.